Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching the stars through the main window. He had been exploring space for 15 years, but he still loved the sight of distant suns shining in the darkness. Today felt different, though. His ship had picked up strange signals coming from the edge of human space. "Captain, we're getting closer to the source," said Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez from his seat at the communications station. His fingers moved quickly over the controls as he tried to understand the strange signals they had been following for 3 days. Commander Lisa Parker walked up to Jake's side. She was his second in command and had served with him for 8 years. "The signals are definitely not human," she said quietly. "Dr. Carter thinks they might be from another intelligent species." Jake nodded slowly. This was what every space explorer dreamed of and feared at the same time. First contact with aliens. He had read all the protocols and trained for this moment, but actually facing it was different. "Are our weapons ready?" he asked. "Yes, sir, but only for defense," Lisa replied. "All crews are at their stations, but we're not showing any hostile actions." Dr. Alex Carter came onto the bridge carrying a tablet full of data. He was the ship's science officer and the smartest person Jake had ever met. "Captain, I've been studying the signals. They're using mathematics and physics that we understand. Whoever is sending them knows about space travel and science." "That's good news," Jake said. "It means we might be able to talk to them." "There's more," Alex continued. "The signals are coming from a ship that's much smaller than ours. Based on the power readings, it looks like a scout ship. They might be as curious about us as we are about them." Chief Engineer Ben Walsh's voice came through the communication system from the engine room. "Captain, all systems are running perfectly. If you need more power for shields or weapons, just let me know." Jake appreciated Ben's calm voice. The engineer had served on military ships before joining the Liberty's exploration mission. He knew how to keep things working when situations got dangerous. "Ship approaching on the main screen," called out Ensign Kelly Davis from the navigation station. She was young but very good at her job. The main screen showed a ship unlike anything they had ever seen. It was smooth and curved, with a silver surface that seemed to shine with its own light. Strange symbols were carved into its hull, and it moved through space without any visible engines. "It's beautiful," whispered Lisa. "And completely alien," added Alex, his eyes wide with excitement. The alien ship stopped about 1,000 kilometers, away from the Liberty. Both ships hung in space, studying each other. "Captain, they're sending us a signal," Sam announced. "It's not like their other signals. This one seems directed at us." "Put it on speakers," Jake ordered. Strange sounds filled the bridge. They were musical and complex, like nothing human ears had ever heard. The sounds went on for several minutes, then stopped. "They're trying to communicate," Alex said. "Give me a few minutes to run this through our language computers." While Alex worked, Jake studied the alien ship. It looked peaceful, but he knew that appearances could be wrong. "Lisa, keep our shields up, but don't charge the weapons. I want to look friendly, but not helpless." "Understood, Captain." After 20 minutes, Alex looked up from his tablet with excitement. "Captain, I think I've got something. The sounds contain mathematical patterns. They're trying to teach us their language by starting with numbers and basic science." "That's exactly what our first contact protocols suggest," Jake said. "They're following the same logical approach we would use." "Should we respond?" Sam asked. Jake thought carefully. This decision could change human history forever. "Yes, but carefully. Sam, send them our basic mathematics and science signals, the same ones we prepared for first contact situations." Sam's fingers danced over his controls. A few minutes later, mathematical signals were sent toward the alien ship. The response came quickly. More musical sounds, but this time they seemed to have structure and meaning that the ship's computers could begin to understand. "They're learning fast," Alex said with amazement. "Much faster than we expected. Their technology for language processing must be very advanced." For the next 2 hours, both ships exchanged increasingly complex signals. Slowly, a basic form of communication developed. The aliens called themselves Zephyrians, and they were part of something called the Collective. Finally, a message came through that the ship's computers could translate into simple English. "Greetings, humans. We are peaceful explorers. We wish to learn about your people." Jake felt his heart beating faster. This was the moment that would be remembered forever. He took a deep breath and spoke clearly. Sam, translate this and send it back. Greetings, Zephyrians. We are humans from Earth. We also explore space peacefully. We would like to learn about your people too. The response came back quickly. This is good. We invite you to meet us at our station. There you can meet many different species and learn about our part of the galaxy. Lisa looked concerned. Captain, we don't know anything about them. It could be a trap. Jake understood her worry, but he also saw the opportunity. Alex, what do you think? Their language patterns suggest honesty, the science officer replied. And if they wanted to hurt us, they probably would have tried by now. Their ship might be smaller, but their technology seems more advanced than ours. Jake made his decision. Sam, tell them we accept their invitation, but we will bring our ship as escort. Tell them it's our custom for important meetings. The alien response was quick. This is acceptable. Follow our ship. The journey will take 2 days. As the alien ship began to move, Jake felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. He was leading humanity into unknown space to meet unknown beings. Everything that happened next would depend on the choices he made. Ben, make sure all systems are perfect, he called to the engine room. Lisa, keep all departments ready but not threatening. Alex, keep studying their signals and learn everything you can. The USS Liberty followed the alien ship into deep space, carrying humanity toward its first meeting with the galactic community. None of them could know that this simple first contact would soon spread fear across the entire galaxy. The Zephyrian station was bigger than anything Jake Morrison had ever imagined. As the USS Liberty approached, the crew stared in amazement at the massive structure floating in space. It was shaped like a giant wheel with 6 arms reaching out from the center. Each arm was longer than the biggest cities on Earth. Captain, I'm reading over 200 ships docked at that station, reported Ensign Davis. And they're all different designs. I don't think any 2 ships look the same. Dr. Carter was practically bouncing with excitement as he studied his scanner readings. Jake, there are dozens of different species on that station. This is incredible. We're going to learn more about the galaxy in 1 day than humans have learned in a century. Commander Parker was less excited and more careful. Captain, that station has weapons, big ones. They're not aimed at us, but they could destroy our ship easily if they wanted to. Jake nodded. He had noticed the weapon systems too, but he also noticed that none of them were pointed toward the Liberty. Stay alert, but remember we're guests here. Let's not do anything that looks threatening. The Zephyrian scout ship led them to a docking area near the station's outer ring. As they got closer, Jake could see other ships from species he had never imagined. Some looked like metal flowers, others were shaped like giant insects, and a few seemed to be made of crystal that glowed with inner light. USS Liberty, this is Station Omega-7 Control, came a voice through the communication system. The translator made it sound mechanical, but Jake could hear musical tones underneath. Welcome to our station. Please prepare for standard security. Scanning. Sam Rodriguez looked up from his station. Captain, they say it's just routine. All ships that visit the station get scanned to check their weapons and defenses. It's for everyone's safety. Dr. Helen Brooks, the ship's diplomat, had joined them on the bridge for the docking. This makes sense, Captain. Any space station would need to know what kind of weapons visiting ships have. It's just good security. Jake thought about it for a moment. The request seemed reasonable, and refusing might make the aliens think humans had something to hide. Tell them we agree to the scan, but make sure they understand we're keeping our shields up as a normal precaution. Understood, Captain, Sam replied, then spoke into his microphone. A few minutes later, beams of light began moving over the Liberty's hull. The scanning was gentle and methodical, starting from the nose and working back toward the engines. On the station, Zephyrian technicians watched their screens as data about the human ship filled their computers. Security Chief Krill was the first to notice something unusual. She had overseen thousands of security scans, and ships usually followed predictable patterns. Weapons in certain areas, crew quarters in others, engines at the back. But the human ship was different. Commander Zekmoth, she called to her supervisor. You should look at this scan data. Station Commander Zekmoth walked over to Krillana's station. He was an old Zephyrian who had been running space stations for over 50 years. What's wrong? Are their weapons more powerful than they claimed? No, sir, that's just it. Their weapons are actually quite weak for a ship this size. But look at this. Krilana pointed to her screen. 60% of their ship is dedicated to life support and medical facilities. I've never seen anything like it. Zekmoth studied the data with growing confusion. This makes no sense. Why would an exploration ship need so many medical facilities? And look at these life support systems. They have backups for their backups. Other technicians began to notice strange things too. The human ship had repair workshops that could rebuild major systems. The crew quarters could be sealed off independently from each other. Every section of the ship had emergency supplies that could last for months. "Sir," called another technician, "I'm looking at their crew database. Every single person on that ship is trained in combat medicine, emergency engineering, and something the translator calls survival protocols." Krilana pulled up more data. "Commander, look at their damage control systems. This ship is built to keep fighting even after taking massive damage. Why would peaceful explorers need that?" Word of the strange scan results began to spread through the station's security department. Other species representatives came to look at the data, and each one found new reasons to be confused. Ambassador Trellman from the Arthropoid Confederation studied the scan results with his compound eyes. "These crew quarters," he said slowly, "they're designed to be defended from the inside. This is not an exploration ship. This is a fortress that happens to travel through space." Engineer Quindar, a member of the crystalline Veltar species, focused on the technical aspects. "Their power systems have 7 independent backups. 7. Most ships have 1 backup, maybe 2. And look at their engine design. It's built to run at maximum power for extended periods. This is a ship designed for long battles." On the Liberty's bridge, the crew was unaware of the growing concern their ship was causing. They were too busy staring at the amazing sights around the station. "Captain, the scan is complete," Sam reported. "They're sending us docking instructions." "Good," Jake replied. "Alex, are you ready for the diplomatic meeting?" Dr. Carter nodded, enthusiastically. "I've prepared presentations about human science, culture, and history. I think they'll find us very interesting." What the humans didn't know was that the aliens already found them very interesting, but not in the way they expected. In security offices throughout the station, emergency meetings were beginning. "We need to inform the collective leadership immediately," Zekmoth told his staff. "We may have encountered a species that is far more dangerous than they appear." Krilana was studying the scan data again. "Sir, there's something else. I ran a comparison analysis. This ship's design philosophy is completely different from anything in our databases. Most species build ships to avoid fighting or to end battles quickly. But humans have built their ship with the assumption that they will take heavy damage and keep fighting anyway. That's impossible," said Engineer Quindar. "No species thinks that way. Battle is something to be avoided or ended quickly. You don't plan to get hurt and keep fighting." "Humans do," Krilana replied quietly. As the USS Liberty docked with Station Omega-7, the crew prepared for what they thought would be a friendly diplomatic meeting. Captain Morrison straightened his uniform and gathered his senior officers. Dr. Brooks reviewed her notes on first contact protocols. Dr. Carter checked his scientific equipment one more time. None of them realized that their ship had just convinced the aliens that humanity might be the most dangerous species the galaxy had ever encountered. The scan that was supposed to be routine had revealed that humans didn't just carry weapons. They were weapons. They built their ships not just to explore or fight, but to survive anything the universe could throw at them. In the security center, Zekmoth made a decision that would change everything. "Send a priority message to collective headquarters. Tell them we have encountered a new species that may represent a significant threat. Include all scan data and request immediate analysis by military intelligence." The message that would spread fear across the galaxy had been sent. And it all started with a simple security scan that revealed humanity's greatest strength. They never give up. The diplomatic dinner was held in Station Omega-7's main conference room. Captain Morrison and his crew sat at a large table surrounded by representatives from 12 different alien species. The room was beautiful, with walls that showed images of stars and planets from across the galaxy. Dr. Helen Brooks was doing her best to represent humanity well. She had studied alien cultures for years, but actually meeting them was overwhelming. The beings around the table were unlike anything she had imagined. Some looked like tall, graceful birds. Others resembled walking trees with glowing leaves. A few were so strange that she couldn't figure out how they moved or ate. "Please, tell us about your people," said Ambassador Trellman. His voice came through a translator device, but Dr. Brooks could see his compound eyes studying her carefully. "We are very curious about human civilization." Dr. Carter smiled and activated a small holographic projector. Images of Earth appeared above the table, showing blue oceans, green forests, and white clouds. "Humans come from a planet called Earth. We have been exploring space for about 100 years, but we have been exploring our own world for much longer." The aliens leaned forward with interest. Earth looked beautiful and peaceful in the images. "Your world appears very calm," observed Counselor Yathara, an ancient being whose species had been exploring space for thousands of years. "Tell us about your history." This was where things began to go wrong, though Dr. Carter didn't realize it at first. He had prepared a presentation about human achievements, art, science, music, and exploration. But when he mentioned human history, he included what he thought were normal details about human civilization. "Humans have always been explorers and survivors," Dr. Carter said proudly. "We have faced many challenges throughout our history. We have survived ice ages, natural disasters, and thousands of wars. Each challenge made us stronger and more determined. The word wars caused several aliens to shift uncomfortably in their seats." Ambassador Trellman's compound eyes focused more intently on Dr. Carter. "Wars?" asked Engineer Quindar, his crystalline body changing color slightly. "How many wars?" Dr. Carter didn't notice the concern in the alien's voice. "Oh, humans have fought thousands of wars throughout our history. We used to fight over territory, resources, ideas, and religion. But we've learned from these experiences. We haven't had a major global war in over 80 years now." The silence in the room was deafening. Several alien representatives looked at each other with what Dr. Brooks was beginning to recognize as alarm. Trader Loxer, a gaseous being who communicated through color changes in his containment suit, spoke up. "Thousands of wars, and you consider 80 years without war to be peaceful?" "Well, yes," Dr. Carter replied, confused by their reaction. "That's actually a very long time for humans to go without major conflicts. We're quite proud of our current period of peace." Commander Lisa Parker, who had been quietly observing the aliens' reactions, began to feel worried. She could see that something about Dr. Carter's words was disturbing their hosts. "Perhaps," she said carefully, "we should explain that humans are naturally competitive, but we've learned to channel that competition into peaceful activities like sports, exploration, and scientific research." "Competitive," repeated Counselor Yathara slowly. "And your ship, the Liberty. It was built for exploration, yes?" "That's right," Captain Morrison replied. "The Liberty is designed for long-range exploration missions. We wanted to build ships that could survive anything space might throw at them." "Survive anything," Ambassador Trellman said, his voice growing more concerned. "Your ship's construction is quite robust. We noticed during our security scan that it has extensive medical facilities and repair capabilities." Dr. Carter nodded, enthusiastically. "Oh yes, we build all our ships that way. You never know what kind of emergencies you might face in deep space. Solar storms, asteroid impacts, equipment failures. We've learned that it's better to be prepared for the worst." "And your crew?" Engineer Quindar asked. "They are all trained in multiple skills?" "Absolutely," Captain Morrison said with pride. "Every person on the Liberty can perform basic medical care, emergency repairs, and defensive procedures. We cross-train everyone because you never know who might be injured or killed during a crisis." The word "killed" made several aliens physically recoil. On most civilized worlds, death during exploration was almost unheard of. Ships were built to be safe, and crews were trained to avoid danger, not survive it. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez, trying to be helpful, added, "The Liberty is actually considered a lightly armed exploration vessel by human standards. Our real warships are much more heavily built and armed." This statement caused Trader Loxer to change colors rapidly, which Dr. Brooks was learning meant extreme agitation. "This is a lightly armed vessel?" "Oh yes," Sam continued, not understanding the growing alarm around the table. Destroyers, cruisers, and battleships are much larger and more powerful, but we don't usually send warships on exploration missions unless we expect trouble. Ambassador Trellman stood up suddenly. Forgive me, but I must ask directly. Your people, do you expect violence during exploration? Captain Morrison was beginning to realize that something was very wrong with this conversation. Not expect it, no, but we prepare for the possibility. Space can be dangerous, and history has taught us that it's better to be ready for problems than to be caught unprepared. What kind of problems do you prepare for? Counselor Yithara asked. Quietly. Dr. Carter, still not understanding the growing tension, answered honestly. Well, equipment failures, hostile environments, natural disasters, and yes, sometimes conflicts with other groups. Humans have learned that you need to be ready to fight for your survival if necessary. Fight, repeated Engineer Quindar. Your species prepares for combat during peaceful exploration. Only as a last resort, Dr. Brooks said quickly, finally, realizing how their words were being interpreted. Humans prefer peaceful solutions, but we've learned through experience that sometimes you have to be strong to protect what you care about. The damage was already done. Around the table, alien representatives were beginning to excuse themselves from the dinner. They spoke in quiet, worried voices about needing to report to their governments and analyze this new information. Within an hour, most of the aliens had left the dinner early. Captain Morrison and his crew sat in the nearly empty conference room, confused and concerned about what had gone wrong. I don't understand, Dr. Carter said to Dr. Brooks. I thought we were building good relationships with them. Commander Parker looked around the empty room. I think we just scared them. They're not used to dealing with a species that prepares for war during peacetime. Back in the station's communications center, priority messages were being sent to governments across the galaxy. The messages all contained similar warnings. Humanity appeared to be a species that not only expected violence, but prepared for it, constantly. Their exploration vessel was built like a fortress, their crews were trained like soldiers, and they spoke casually about thousands of wars and the need to fight for survival. What the aliens didn't understand was that humans weren't warlike by choice, they were survivors by necessity. Earth had taught them that the universe was dangerous, and the only way to protect what they loved was to be strong enough to face any threat. But the aliens didn't know this yet. All they knew was that a species claiming to be peaceful explorers had just revealed that they built every ship like a warship and trained every crew member like a soldier. The fear was beginning to spread, and it would only get worse from here. 3 days had passed since the diplomatic dinner, and Captain Morrison could feel the change in atmosphere on Station Omega-7. Aliens who had been friendly and curious now avoided eye contact with the human crew. Conversations stopped when humans entered rooms. The station that had seemed welcoming now felt cold and suspicious. Captain, I'm getting reports from all departments, Commander Parker said as she entered Morrison's temporary quarters. Our crew members are being asked strange questions by station security. They want to know about our military training, our weapons experience, and our combat history. Morrison rubbed his forehead tiredly. This is getting worse instead of better. What happened to the friendly first contact we were hoping for? Before Parker could answer, Lieutenant Rodriguez's voice came through the communication system. Captain, we have an incoming ship. It's the USS Defender, requesting permission to dock. Morrison's heart sank. The Defender was a destroyer class ship that had been sent to check on the Liberty when they failed to report in on schedule. Having a warship arrive would only make the situation worse. Tell Captain Torres to dock at the far end of the station, Morrison ordered, and make sure she understands the situation before she talks to anyone. An hour later, Captain Nina Torres arrived at Morrison's quarters with her senior officers. Torres was a career military officer who commanded one of humanity's most advanced warships. She was tough, direct, and not used to diplomatic situations. Jake, what's going on here? Torres asked immediately. My crew is telling me that the aliens are acting like we're about to attack them. Half the station's security forces are watching our ships. Morrison explained what had happened during the diplomatic dinner and how the aliens had reacted to learning about human military history and ship design. Torres listened carefully, then shook her head. I don't understand the problem. We're peaceful. We didn't threaten anyone. Why are they so worried? Major Chris Evans, the military attaché who had come with the original diplomatic mission, spoke up. Captain Torres, I think the problem is that they've never met a species like us. Most aliens seem to have evolved in peaceful environments. They build ships to avoid conflict, not survive it. That's ridiculous, Torres replied. You build ships to handle whatever space throws at you. Space is dangerous. Equipment fails, people get hurt, and sometimes you have to fight to protect yourself. That's exactly the kind of thinking that's scaring them, Dr. Brooks said quietly. They think we're a warrior species because we prepare for war even during peacetime. The situation got much worse when Torres was invited to meet with Station Commander Zekmoth. The meeting was supposed to be a courtesy call between ship captains, but it quickly became an interrogation. Captain Torres, Zekmoth said, studying her carefully. We have scanned your ship, the Defender. It is much more heavily armed than the Liberty. Yes, sir, Torres replied honestly. The Defender is a destroyer-class ship. It's designed for system defense and escort duties. And you have larger ships than this? Engineer Quindar asked. He had joined the meeting along with several other alien officials. Of course, the Defender is just a destroyer. We have cruisers, battleships, and dreadnoughts for more serious threats. The aliens exchanged alarmed looks. Ambassador Trellman leaned forward. More serious threats? What kind of threats require ships larger than the Defender? Torres was beginning to realize she was saying the wrong things, but she didn't know how to explain human military thinking to beings who had never faced real danger. Well, you need different ships for different situations. Destroyers are good for escort duty and fighting smaller threats. Battleships are for when you're facing enemy fleets or need to protect entire star systems. Enemy fleets? Counselor, Yathara's voice was barely a whisper. Your species plans to fight entire fleets of enemy ships? We don't plan to fight anyone, Torres said, getting frustrated. We just prepare for the possibility. History has taught us that if you're not ready to defend yourself, someone will eventually try to take what you have. The meeting ended abruptly when several alien officials excused themselves for urgent consultations. Torres returned to Morrison's quarters confused and angry. They're treating us like we're some kind of monsters, she complained. All because we build our ships to survive combat and train our people to defend themselves. While the human captains tried to figure out what was going wrong, emergency meetings were being held across the galaxy. The arrival of the Defender had confirmed the aliens' worst fears about humanity. Fleet Admiral Mordek of the Zephyrian Collective studied the scan data from both human ships in his command center. The Defender's specifications were terrifying to beings who had never seen a real warship. Its weapons could destroy most alien ships with a single shot. Its armor could withstand attacks that would cripple other vessels. Its design showed that humans expected to fight long, brutal battles and win them. Admiral, his intelligence officer reported, we've received more information about human military capabilities. According to Captain Torres, the Defender is considered a small warship by human standards. Mordek felt a chill run through his body. If the Defender was small, what would a human battleship be capable of? Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. The Arthropoid Confederation called emergency military sessions. The Veltar Crystalline Collective began calculating how many ships they would need to match human capabilities. Even the ancient and powerful Yathara Council was concerned about this new species. The most disturbing analysis came from the Galactic Military Strategy Center on Veltara Prime. Computer simulations based on human ship designs suggested that a single human battleship could potentially fight an entire collective fleet and have a good chance of winning. How is this possible? Demanded Grand Admiral Zilmoth, commander of the Collective's combined fleets. No single ship should be able to fight an entire fleet. It's their design philosophy, sir, his chief analyst explained. They don't build ships to avoid damage or end battles quickly. They build ships to take enormous amounts of damage and keep fighting. Their crews are trained to repair battle damage while under fire. Their weapons are designed for extended combat. They plan to fight until their enemy is completely defeated or they are completely destroyed. The fear was spreading faster than the humans could have imagined. Species that had been allies for centuries began making secret agreements about how to handle the human threat. Military budgets that had been reduced during the long galactic peace were suddenly increased. Weapons that had been stored away were brought back into service. On Station Omega-7, the human crews noticed that fewer and fewer aliens were willing to interact with them. The station's markets and restaurants became quiet when humans entered. Security forces began following human crew members wherever they went. "Captain," Dr. Carter said during a meeting in Morrison's quarters, "I've been monitoring alien communications. They're scared of us. Really scared. They think we're going to conquer the galaxy." "That's insane," Morrison replied. "We came here to make friends, not enemies." "I know that, and you know that," Dr. Carter said sadly. "But they see our ships, our training, our history of warfare, and they think we're a species of warriors who are just pretending to be peaceful until we're strong enough to attack." Commander Parker looked out the window at the alien ships surrounding the station. Many of them had weapons powered up and shields raised. "Captain, I think we need to leave soon. This situation is getting dangerous." Morrison nodded reluctantly. The first contact mission that was supposed to open a new chapter in human history was turning into a disaster. Worse, their attempts to be honest and open about human capabilities had convinced the aliens that humanity was a threat to galactic peace. What none of them realized yet was that the fear spreading across the galaxy would soon force humanity to become exactly what the aliens thought they already were: the most dangerous species in known space. Dr. Alex Carter couldn't sleep. For the past week, he had been working with a small group of alien scientists who were trying to understand why humans were so different from every other species in the galaxy. The research was dangerous. Many aliens now considered humans a threat, but Carter believed that science could solve the misunderstanding that was pushing the galaxy toward fear and conflict. His research partner was Dr. Pelamon, a Zephyrian evolutionary biologist who had studied hundreds of different species. Unlike the military officers and politicians who saw humans as dangerous, Pelamon was curious about what had made humans develop so differently. "Dr. Carter," Pelamon said as they met in a small research lab deep inside the station, "I have been studying the data about your home world, Earth. There is something very unusual about it." Carter looked up from his tablet, where he had been reviewing human evolutionary history. "What did you find?" "Your planet is extremely dangerous," Pelamon replied, his musical voice filled with amazement. "I have studied the evolution of over 300 species, and I have never seen a world like Earth." Carter was confused. Earth seemed normal to him. "What do you mean, dangerous?" Pelamon activated a holographic display showing Earth's history. "Look at this data. Ice ages every few thousand years, massive volcanic eruptions, asteroid impacts, super predators that hunted your ancestors, diseases that killed millions, natural disasters constantly changing your environment." "Well, yes," Carter said slowly. "Earth has always been challenging. But that's just normal, isn't it?" "No!" Pelamon's excitement made his voice rise to a higher pitch. "Most species evolve on stable worlds, gentle climates, few predators, reliable food sources. Your species evolved on a world that was constantly trying to kill you." Carter stared at the display showing Earth's violent history. For the first time, he began to understand why humans were different. "Look at this," Pelamon continued, showing more data. "Humans are persistence hunters. You evolved to chase prey animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. Most species evolved to avoid conflict or end it quickly, but humans evolved to never give up, no matter how long the struggle lasted." The pieces were beginning to fit together in Carter's mind. "That's why our ships are built the way they are. We don't plan to avoid damage. We plan to survive it and keep going." "Exactly," Pelamon said. "Your species learned that survival meant being tougher than everything that tried to kill you. That is why your peaceful exploration ship looks like a fortress to us. You build everything to survive the worst possible situation." Their research was interrupted when Captain Morrison and Admiral Mordek arrived at the lab. The two commanders had agreed to meet in an attempt to prevent the growing crisis from becoming a war. "Doctors," Morrison said, "we need answers fast. 3 more alien fleets have arrived in this system, and they're all armed for battle. If we don't solve this misunderstanding soon, people are going to start shooting." Admiral Mordek's usually calm demeanor was strained. "Captain Morrison, you must understand our position. Your species appears to be preparing for galactic conquest. Your ships, your training, your entire military philosophy suggests you are warriors disguised as explorers. Dr. Carter looked at Pelamon, then made a decision. Admiral, what if I told you that humans aren't warriors by choice, but survivors by necessity? I would not understand the difference, Mordek replied. Carter activated the holographic display showing Earth's evolutionary history. Admiral, look at this data. Every other species in the galaxy evolved on worlds that were relatively safe and stable, but humans evolved on a world where everything was trying to kill them. For the next hour, Carter and Pelamon explained their research. They showed how human evolution had been shaped by constant danger, how human psychology was built around the concept of never giving up, and how human technology reflected the assumption that survival required being prepared for the worst. Your scan data that seemed so threatening, Carter explained. Those aren't the designs of a warlike species. They're the designs of a species that survived by refusing to die, no matter what the universe threw at them. Admiral Mordek studied the data carefully. You are saying that humans build strong ships not to attack others, but because you expect to be attacked? More than that, Morrison added. We build strong ships because we learned that the universe is dangerous. Space storms, equipment failures, hostile environments. We've learned that if you don't prepare for disaster, disaster will destroy you. Pelamon brought up more data. Admiral, look at human history. Yes, they fought many wars, but look at why they fought. Most human conflicts were about protecting their people, their homes, their families. Even when they fought each other, they were usually fighting to protect something they cared about. And look at this, Carter added, showing records from human space exploration. 3 years ago, a human colony ship was badly damaged in a solar storm. The USS Courage, the Liberty's sister ship, kept those colonists alive for 8 months, using nothing but redundant life support systems and the crew's refusal to give up. Every paranoid design feature you found threatening was originally built to save lives, not take them. Admiral Mordek was quiet for a long time, studying the data. Finally, he spoke. Are you telling me that humans are not conquerors, but protectors? We're survivors, Morrison said simply. And we've learned that the best way to survive is to be strong enough to protect what we care about. We don't want to fight anyone. But if someone threatens our people, our homes, or our friends, we'll fight to protect them. The breakthrough came when Elder Wiseheart, the galaxy's most respected historian, arrived at the station. She was ancient, even by galactic standards, and had studied the rise and fall of civilizations for thousands of years. I have been reviewing the human data, she announced to the assembled leaders. And I believe I understand what we are dealing with. She activated a display showing the military histories of various galactic species. Every species in our records follows the same pattern. They develop peaceful civilizations, build ships to avoid conflict, and create weapons only to end battles quickly. But humans are different. The display changed to show human military history. Humans developed the ability to fight long, brutal campaigns and win them through sheer determination. But look at what they fought for. Freedom. Protection of the innocent. Defense of their homes. They are not warriors who seek conquest. They are guardians who fight to protect. This explains everything, Wiseheart continued. The ship designs that seem so threatening are actually designed to protect crews and complete missions no matter what dangers they face. The cross-training that seemed militaristic is actually designed to ensure that everyone can help everyone else survive. The excessive life support systems are built to keep people alive in impossible situations. Admiral Mordek finally understood. Humans are not the hunters. They are the shepherds. The resolution came quickly once the truth was understood. Emergency messages were sent across the galaxy explaining the real nature of humanity. The fleets that had gathered to contain the human threat were stood down. And for the first time since first contact, real diplomatic conversations began. Captain Torres, who had been frustrated by all the military restrictions, found herself in an unexpected role. Admiral Mordek, if you're interested, I'd like to propose joint patrol missions. Human ships working alongside collective forces to protect trade routes and explore dangerous regions. Why would you want to work with us? Mordek asked. Because that's what we do, Morrison answered. We protect people, and now that includes all of you. The story ended not with conquest or conflict, but with understanding. humans joined the galactic community not as the terrifying warriors the aliens had feared, but as the guardians they had never known they needed. Ships like the Liberty and Defender began patrolling the galaxy's dangerous regions, their excessive defenses finally appreciated for what they truly were. An unbreakable promise that no one under human protection would ever be abandoned. And, in the years that followed, when threats arose from the dark spaces between stars, the galaxy learned to appreciate having humans watching over them. Beings who had learned on a dangerous world that the best way to survive was to make sure everyone survived together.